Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dana. Thanks for being here. I am super excited to be reviewing this sunscreen today. I've had it for a while. You can't see because this is not one of those see-through bottles, but I probably used about half of this, which may not sound like a lot, but considering the amount of sunscreens that I have to choose from every day, I reach for this quite often, which is a little bit of a spoiler, but you know, I like to gatekeep here. So we're gonna get into it, but this is the Live Tinted Glotion Sunscreen. As you can see, some of the text or the logo has kind of come off. Although, you know what? That's just a sticker. That's actually, I don't know why they do that. But this is the Hueguard Glotion from Live Tinted, and I'm gonna talk all about it. So everything will be timestamped below, and we'll just get into it right now. Okay, so first things first, always shake, especially mineral sunscreens. Even if it doesn't say to, I just do because it's good practice. And I'm gonna be using my 1/4 teaspoon as always. I use a 1/4 teaspoon for my neck and my face, and that is because you need that much. I feel like I talk about that often, about how much you need, and I still get comments that I'm using too much. And I hate to break it to you, but I'm not. You can use less, of course, but you are running the risk of not getting the full protection that is labeled. So this is SPF 50. If I use less than 1/4 teaspoon for my neck and my face, I could be getting SPF 30, I could be getting SPF 20, you kind of just don't know. This is how they test it. I always forget the actual conversion. Let me go check it out though. Okay, I had it right. In my head, I was just like, do I have it right? But it's 2 milligrams of sunscreen per square centimeter of skin. And people have done the calculations, it comes out to be about 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm not gonna go much further into it, but just know if you are gonna comment that I'm using too much, I'm not. All right, so I've got my 1/4 teaspoon. I don't know if you can see it, and we'll apply. I'll zoom in first. This is the Live Tinted Hueguard Glotion Mineral Sunscreen Broad Spectrum. It comes in 50 milliliters or 1.7 ounces, which is your standard amount, and it retails for $36. There are 2 shades of it. The shade that I'm wearing is light medium, and then the deeper shade is medium deep. As far as our active ingredients, there is 14% zinc oxide. It does contain butyloctyl salicylate, which is an SPF booster. This is considered a chemical ingredient, so if you are sensitive to it or you just don't want that, just keep that in mind. But they do advertise it as a mineral sunscreen, but it would really be considered a hybrid sunscreen. And what they say about this is it's a lightweight, glowy, tinted mineral, broad spectrum SPF 50 that hydrates, primes skin for makeup, and leaves a radiant finish. Powered by an incredible blend of antioxidants to help brighten and neutralize uneven skin, lightweight and tinted in 2 flexible shades for a natural skin-like finish. As far as key ingredients, they have squalane in it, which is a lightweight oil to help boost moisturization and increase skin elasticity and suppleness. There's also blue pea flower extract and alpine willow herb extract and strawberry fruit extract. So those are antioxidants. They help to soothe skin, fight free radicals, and then also help with your skin's elasticity and resilience. All right, that is the application. I'm gonna go wash my hands and we'll come back with some makeup on my face and talk through the rest of the sunscreen. All right, so this is what it looks like. Let's zoom in so you get a better look. I am wearing this underneath makeup. I have on, let's see, just concealer. I'll list all of it below, but concealer. And then this is the Lavage Water Fresh blush, which is kind of giving me that little bit of glow. I wouldn't say that it's overly glowy, but that is partially from the sunscreen and partially from the blush. And you can still see, I have some imperfections. I didn't go heavy. I didn't wear foundation or anything because I don't with this. So you can still see my skin underneath. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some of the key parts of this sunscreen. As far as the finish, they do say the finish is natural radiant. Now, I think that really is going to depend on a few factors. For me, I don't actually find this one to be radiant per se. I mean, I do have a glow, but it's not overly glowy, and I think that's perfect. So I would say that for me, it leans more toward the natural side, especially if you give it 5-10 minutes to set down. It doesn't set in the sense that it's not gonna move, but it does just kind of settle into your face in a sense. Now, if you have more oily skin, of course, it could be more radiant on you. And if you have drier skin, it could be more of a natural finish. So I do think that there are quite a few caveats to that finish. And of course, like where you live, the amount of humidity or dryness in the air, all these things factor into it. So I would say that it's a natural radiant, but kind of depending on a lot of things. I actually love that kind of finish because I feel like it's a little bit more flexible. If I want to make it more radiant, I will put more skincare underneath. Today, as in all my sunscreen reviews, I have no skincare underneath. I have pretty normal balanced skin, but if I wanted it to be more glowy, I would just like load up on the serums and moisturizers. So one thing that I was talking about is this is underneath, I say makeup, but I really should like caveat that because I'm not wearing foundation. Now, I think things can change when you do put a foundation on depending on what it is, but I do wear like basically my concealer as foundation. So I'll put dots all over my face or maybe just the T-zone usually. And it's not a super high coverage foundation, as you can see, because I had blemishes. But I've never had pilling. This one is one of those ones that even if my skin is kind of like, I don't know, flaking off or drier or whatever, I don't find that this sunscreen contributes to more flaking. The main areas for pilling for me is right here around the temples, and that's not anything that I've been having or have ever had with it. Now, I did say that it kind of sets, and I don't mean that in the sense that like when you put it on and give it a few minutes, it's not going to move. Most mineral sunscreens are not like that unless they are advertised as more matte. You're just going to have some kind of like transfer. So I will do a transfer test just to show you. I don't think it's going to be terrible. I don't think it's going to be amazing. But I have a clean tissue and I'll just do, I guess, my forehead. So yeah, can you see that? There's a little bit of transfer to be expected, but it's not anything terrible where I feel like everything is moving off my face. And I didn't use any powder today, so if I used a little bit of powder, I think it would set pretty easily. The last thing that I want to talk about is the tint of it. So I have my arm swatch, or you can see it there. This has been on for maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I'm gonna put a fresh one on because I just wanna show you if it oxidizes and kind of what the tint looks like. And then I'm also going to show you a tint comparison with some other glowy mineral tinted sunscreens. So let's do that right now. Okay, so this is the one that's been on my arm for a second. And this is the new one. So you can see that there is some oxidation, but it's really quite minimal and it turns a little bit warmer, but not in the worst way. And this is the shade Light Medium. So now we have 4 tinted mineral sunscreens that are quite glowy in their nature. And I'm going to show you what they look like swatched. Okay, so on the left we have the Supergoop Mineral Glowscreen. And this is in the shade Sunrise. So this is this swatch. Next up, we have the iNNBeauty Project Mineral Sun Glow in the shade Fair Medium. That's the second shade. Then we have the Live Tinted Glotion. This is the third shade. And the fourth one is the Heimish Artless Glow Tinted Sunscreen. And this one may be chemical, I can't remember, but that is the fourth one. Okay, so you could see the oxidation. I would say this is pretty minimal for a mineral sunscreen. Actually, the ones that I swatched, which are these 4, and I will link them all below. These are some of my favorites, and they all kind of have a pretty minimal amount of oxidation. So you can kind of feel confident if you have a lighter skin tone that it's not going to oxidize too much. But these are all really good options and some of my very favorite sunscreens. So final thoughts on the Live Tinted Glotion. I really love it. This is one of those ones I do reach for it probably more than others. I would say out of these 3, which are kind of like ones that came out, these 2 came out more similar in time, and this one was a year ago. But I would say that I reach for the Live Tinted and the iNNBeauty Project the most. For me, the Supergoop Glowscreen, it's a tad bit light, and like not that anyone's gonna see it, but it's a better one for me in the winter time. When I am a little bit tanner, I can use something like these 2. They're not gonna give me a tan, but they're not gonna make me look washed out. But I would say I reach for this almost as much as my very, very favorite iNNBeauty Project. So I think it's a really good option. And I would say, you know, $36 is not breaking the bank. I mean, I know it's not cheap, but for kind of like a Sephora Ulta brand, it is a good price versus some that are like $60, $70. And I have really enjoyed using it. I do find that these two kind of have the similar texture, that they do set down a little bit. And I don't mean it in the sense that like they're gonna be completely transfer resistant, but they don't feel like they're moving on my face too much. And with a little bit of powder, they work just fine. So this one's up there, it really is. I think it would be one of those ones that I would consider repurchasing. I also love Live Tinted, their other sunscreen, their original Hueguard. So I'm not super surprised that I like this one so much, but it's definitely a good option if this is something that you're interested in. So I think I will end it there, and I'm very excited to finally have gotten this one out because it's a goodie. So I will see you guys in the next one, and let me know your thoughts below. Bye.